Hi, I'm Danny Butler.
Hi, I'm Barry Huskinson.
Hi, I'm Sandy Plenty.
And this is the Trialtube podcast. So welcome back to a fresh podcast, which is going to have what can only be described as a fresh perspective as well. We're going to do some fresh perspective. We've got a great guest in this week, and also we've lost somebody this week as well. We've got Sandy Plenty in, and we are completely without Stu Day. Isn't that right, Sandy?
Yeah, he is coming back though, I heard.
No, he died.
Oh.
Fully didn't die. He will be back next time. I'm not going to say next week because when we film these, they never actually go out in a state of continuity. They sort of get jumbled up a little bit.
It's just how it goes.
It's just the way it goes, man.
And I think Stu is actually, he's got a
teaching.
trials day on. He's teaching, yeah. One of my buddies, John Baker's there actually. So perhaps it's my fault that I told John to book today. Anyway.
On today, knowing that we were doing the podcast.
It wasn't intentional, Stu, promise.
Also, we've just quickly, this episode is sponsored by EK Visual, which are a digital content creation business.
Who are they? Yeah.
So we're going to talk a little bit about them halfway through.
Okay.
I'll try not get bogged down by that. If you are driving right now and consuming this content audio style on Spotify or Apple, thank you for listening, and please pay attention to the road and don't crash and die.
Yeah, and thank you for all your comments on every episode. They're much appreciated, good and bad. We enjoy reading them. And
we do enjoy reading them. That is the correct way to say it, Sandy. I really enjoy a nice negative comment. It's my favourite. But
we don't get many.
We don't get many. No, we don't. That's. I've actually got to say that the trials industry is extremely friendly, and we also have had 99% of the comments that we get back are always positive. And have you been experiencing them at trials now?
Yeah, I was up at the Pollock trial this weekend in Kinlochleven, which is really good. Well done to Loughborough Club for putting that on. It was amazing. But on 4 sections, someone said, "Oh, yeah, you're on a Trialtube podcast," which I was a little bit...
in Scottish or in English?
In Scottish.
Okay,
and,
I was just checking because when Stu does an accent for some reason,
that wasn't an
that wasn't your best accent.
Oh no, but what I then say was, well, it doesn't mean I can ride, so here we go. And,
just because we can talk crap about trials doesn't necessarily mean it goes well in the section.
Lots of support up there, and we've said it on other episodes. I do feel whether we take it on the road, but we need to give the Scottish trial scene a little bit more love, maybe in a separate show.
Yeah, definitely. I also, a quick shout out to all the guys that, again, not connected to the previous episode, but it was a group of Scottish guys that I was in Bulgaria with for the Trials Holiday Bulgaria stuff, and they were a great group as well. So I know that they were probably all riding that trial because they're all sort of from that area as well. When I say that area, I probably just mean Scotland. Anywhere north of the border for me, I'm just like, they're up from the nosebleed sections where people get attacked by midges.
Yeah, there's just so much. There's such a great scene there, as there is in other pockets of the UK. But it's really, really healthy out there, and it's good to see. Good to ride around.
Perfect. Now we are joined this week by the man in charge. That's what I'm going to call him. The man in charge. So
we could call him the Grand Fromage.
Oh, okay.
The big cheese.
Yeah.
I've been on here. I haven't even said anything yet, and you've already given me a name.
The Grand Fromage of Trial GB, and which is now seems to be a French round. So Barry Huskinson is with us this week. Thank you for joining us, Barry.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here. So thank you for inviting me on. So
he's saying that now, but he had to drive hours to get here.
Yeah, so right on the south coast for me. So it was a bit of a journey, but
how many hours? Like 5?
It wasn't actually that bad. 4. So
that's okay.
Quite good, really, and amazingly didn't stop at all on the M25.
What you got to think about, everyone, is 4 hours here, 4 hours back. Fair play, mate.
Yeah.
Well, I've actually got. It's not because I'm actually doing a stopover tonight.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm actually like going from here to Barnsley. And then I'm going to come back round to Buxton.
Oh, wow.
So
looking at venues or?
No, not venues. Just so the good people that have actually supported the series, the Trial GB series for this year.
Yep.
So I'm off up to see a Pico
nice.
Tomorrow morning. So I'm going to stop up over there. Just thought 2 birds, 1 stone.
All in one, yeah, mate.
And then on the way back, I was looking at the map and I thought, well, I need to go down and see John because he's helped John Shirt and Motorcycles have helped support us a little bit as well.
Fantastic.
With the series, which is great. And so just going to pop in and say hello, and might as well while I'm out on the road.
So you're on tour?
I'm on tour, 2-day tour.
Cool.
So,
Singular tour. Obviously, Barry's a family man, so what he's done is he's gone on tour for peace.
No one watches this.
Nobody watches this. And just mentioning John Shirt, by the way, he's going to come onto the podcast.
Oh, look forward to
Nothing
that.
to do with the support, sponsorship or anything like that. John Shirt says he's going to come onto the podcast solely so that he can divulge his vast experience and basically give out knowledge for the people that are going to be riding in Scotland.
On a trials bike. Okay, cool.
And give them pointers and things that they should look out for. And he was literally like,
that's awesome,
banging down my WhatsApp to get on here. He's just kind of like, I must come on here and tell people like what they need to look out for at the Scottish.
So on WhatsApp, he was actually typing stuff out, not just emojis.
Not just emojis.
Big emoji guy.
Yeah, a big emoji guy.
Emojis on emails with John.
Yeah, you do actually.
Do you know what? All jokes aside, I'd love to be on that. If not, I'll be watching it. Yeah, fair play. That man, what he doesn't know about Scotland, I shouldn't.
Definitely. He definitely knows a lot more about me because, unpopular opinion, I've never rode the Scottish. So there's.
I've never ridden the Scottish.
Have you never ridden the Scottish?
Never ridden the Scottish. It's too far away. I've got trials in France there near. Right?
Yeah, actually they are for you. Yeah, you'd be able to do like the French 4-day and actually travel less of a distance.
It is on my bucket list. I do need to do it.
I just got my number yesterday. Yeah. 248.
248.
So with my maths, that means actually.
Hopefully, you won't get an early day.
Yeah, it's Saturday. I'll be 7th on Saturday. Right. 7th out.
Well, that's not too bad then, is it? Let's be fair.
I'll be cooked by then, let's face it.
Yeah, how many sets of kit are you taking to the Scottish?
All of it.
All of it. The Sorrow Man has actually bought the entire stock to get through the week.
Yeah.
It's...
2 sets a day.
Yeah, a few sets a day. By the way, quick tangent. You can actually now order from Sorrow the Trialtube replica kit.
Yeah.
So if you want to
here we have it on display.
ride around looking all Trialtube-y and give us some support, you can buy that, which is pretty cool, isn't it? Barry's gone through some kit in his time, and
well done. Yeah.
So
which story are you referring to?
That one time you shut yourself. No, I'm joking. I was actually doing it wasn't on camera. I was actually doing a podcast for another one that I produced, Talk Moto, and Mark Deruva was on, motocross rider, MXGP rider.
Sand specialist.
According to him, he was the king of sand before hurlings. And Mark Deruva actually admitted to shitting himself whilst riding.
Oh.
So he was like, because he teaches kids now to ride, and he says every excuse that they come in with, he's done it.
Well, and he's put that in the curriculum.
It's like, well, basically what he's trying to say is that motocross riders are too woke now, and they're too too dramatic about.
I could just
this,
imagine him. You think that's bad? Well, this one time.
Well, he was saying, he was like, you think you broke your arm? How he actually said it during the episode was, you think you broke your arm? I've done it. He was like, you think you've been bleeding in your kit as you're riding? I've done it. He's like, you shot yourself whilst riding? I did it at a GP. And I was like, okay, Mark. I was so blown away by him. But back to trials anyway. Sorry, tangent.
It was a good crossover.
It was, wasn't it? Yeah. Oh, check out Talk Moto. Good podcast, that. So we're here to, of course, have a chat about the new Trial GB series, which is like the old Trial GB series, but now actually this is my opinion, by the way. None of these are to do with Barry. This is completely me. So if I say the wrong thing, then you can tell me off. In my opinion, Barry and Sam Connor are now at the helm of the new Trial GB series, and I'm very much struggling to contain my excitement simply because it's about time that somebody under the age of 85 was in charge. Like, thank you, Jesus.
And as we were saying earlier, someone relevant, someone who's ridden. I think that's really exciting.
It's a very exciting time for the British Championship. So how did that come about, Barry?
How did it come about? So I was sitting there, I think it was last August time, July time, around about then, and a friend of mine messaged me and said, did you realise that Brian Higgins, who's a guy who's been doing it for the last sort of 4 or 5 years, He's done a good job with a series.
Yeah, man. The British Championship was the only place that you could actually go and ride the similar rules to the World Championship, where there was a clock on the section. You could ride a style of trials which is productive to the style that the bikes are actually built to now. I'm going to be honest. I like riding the British Championship because it is the style of trials I love.
Yeah. So Brian was stepping down. So the ACU put a thing out last summer to say, we've got this position of kind of series manager, as it were, that we want to do for 2024. And, if you're interested, put your hat in the ring. And I got a WhatsApp from a friend of mine and said, did you hear about this? It might be something that you fancy. And around that same time, I was because I am, what I do mainly for a living is I'm a personal trainer. I do like sports performance coaching and stuff like that. So that is kind of what I do. But I was in a position for the first time in my life where my kids were a little bit more grown up. Not saying I had a bit more time on my hands, but I had a bit more flexibility. I wasn't an employee of a company anymore. And I thought to myself, yeah, actually, that'd be quite cool. And I'd smashed my knee to bits about 4 years ago. So I wasn't really riding as much as I would have liked, but I still really wanted to be involved.
Yeah.
And I really, like what you just said there, I really wanted to be involved in the sort of aspect of trials that I truly loved. Like I grew up like watching Geordie Terriers and, I know you make references to it, the TR34 and all that sort of stuff.
Just sold my TR34, by the way.
Have you sold it? Damn it! I was going to have a conversation.
It's not gone yet. It's not gone yet. So you are off camera. We'll have a conversation about that later on. Yeah. You might be safe. You might be safe.
Right. Okay. So anyway, so there's my wife's going to see this, isn't she? That's sure.
Not for a little bit. Yeah. You're safe, man. You're safe. It might already be in your garage.
She still thinks one of my mountain bikes is white. Not it's a different bike. So anyway, we put my hat in the ring for it and didn't really hear anything for a good few months, and then got a message back from the ACU saying, we've decided to go in another direction, thanks for no thanks sort of thing.
Right.
And I was like, all right, yeah, fair enough, yeah, good luck.
So what's this is start of the year or back end?
That's like, so I've just talked to you, like, so thing went out I think July, August time.
Okay.
And I got that message back from the ACU about October time. And then I kind of thought, well, that's that then.
So you didn't get the job at
first?
So
I didn't think that was going to happen. I think there was some other conversations going on. And then sort of Christmas rolled around and I got another message just sort of from someone else saying, are you doing this then? And I was like, well, I haven't said yes, but I'm keen to do it.
Yeah.
So we started up the conversations again sort of around Christmas time, and had, some really good conversations with a gentleman by the name of Tim Lightfoot. So for people who don't know, he's been in post about a year at the ACU. He's the chairman of the ACU as a whole.
Grand Fromage.
So he is the Grand Fromage, so I can dispel that moniker straight away.
No, I think it's you.
And another gentleman, Matthew Ware, who's like the general secretary. So it's those two that have been in about a year, and they're really trying to kind of shake things up.
So it's a whole new.
It's a whole new regime.
Almost,
it's a whole new infrastructure. So that's
Brilliant.
not just for trials. That's for all sports. That. So there's various. For people that don't know how the ACU work, there's various committees that look after the various
subcategories within.
Yeah. So you've got your road racing and your motocross, and then there's the trials and enduro committee. And so effectively, what they wanted to do was, instead of having like kind of a promoter as such, they wanted to kind of in-house it to the ACU. And kind of have like a job description, let's say, and work with someone that was going to work with them. And so I'm working with the ACU on a kind of a freelance basis for this year to take on the Trial GB Championship.
Nice.
Amazing. I do like the fact that you actually changed the word a minute ago from regime to infrastructure.
Did I?
That was good. Yeah, you started with regime, which is sounds like like war side, like
dictatorship.
The dictatorship that is the ACU, and I've put myself in there as a mole, and I'm taking them down. No, let's be fair. We're always pretty blunt here. The ACU have had a bad rap over the last 10 years.
I mean, they've been going 100 plus, haven't they?
Well, yeah, okay, the last 20 years, because
I think there's been things that they probably would hold their hands up and say they haven't done probably right. But equally, I know that there's a lot of conversations gone on behind the scenes. Like I say, not just for trials. They really want to make sure that we give back and put on some really great events and work with kind of hosting clubs to make those happen. And
no, that's great. I think it's sort of like, I think that it's like too on the nose to say things like, oh, about time and stuff like that, because there is never the about time. There's never the right time.
I think the main thing is, how positive is this, that there's, from the top, there's new staff, there's new people, new passion, new opinions, new ways of doing it. So, fair play.
And if we don't take that, like, if the ACU, for instance, or even the riders don't see that that's happening, like, it's almost like, I know it sounds dead cheesy, but like changing hearts and minds. I'm not entirely sure that, like, without doing that we would be moving forward as quickly as it is.
Yeah, so I think we've got, this is a very much kind of a transitional year, 2024. We've got like a 5-round series. Myself and Sam, so I've been working quite closely with Sam Connor, which is a privilege, really. I mean, the guy's been, at the top of the sport when he was younger. He's been competing forever. Won the Scottish 6 days. He
really knows what he's doing.
He knows. That's basically what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
Waffling on.
Quick reference.
Quick reference.
Sam rode for Factory Beta.
Yeah.
He rode for Gas. He was part of the Radson Montesa team in 2000, whose teammate was Doug Lampkin at the time.
Yeah.
So he rode for HRC. I'm sure that Sam was European champion at one point.
He may have been.
So what you're saying is the man's got
he's
credentials.
Rubbish. He's terrible, yeah.
He's got credentials.
He's quite a bit older than me, and he absolutely...
And he barely touches the bike now, and every time he swings a leg over it, he's still amazing.
His family are obviously super invested in all of the time that they spend at Hookwoods, which of course is the British Championship venue.
Sure.
And Schoolboys Club venue as well, if I remember rightly. So, his family are so into trials. I once fondly remember being there when his brother Tim Connor crashed his Mini on the road out of Hookwoods. I think it was like me and James Dable and some others. Anyway, we had to run down the road because Tim had put his Mini through the fence and in the field. So, very
just
fond
from
memories.
leaving the trial?
Just from leaving the trial. Tim Connor, by the way, it was always, it was like Sam Connor, but like wild. Tim was a great rider when he rode, and it was just out of control. But,
sounds like another brother we were talking about.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Maybe it's like the second coming. It's always the problem. But no, great dude anyway.
A question I wanted to ask was, obviously we talked about how good Sam is, but you've done a lot of riding yourself. So just tell us a little bit about that. So there's push bike trials at a very high level, and what did you do with motor trials?
So, going a long way back, I rode, I started life, so my dad kind of rode motorcycle trials, so every Sunday was going to watch Dad, and then by the time I was about 3 or 4, I was burning around on like at that time, it was little Pee-wee 50s, wasn't it?
It was the only thing that was about, wasn't it, really?
Yeah.
Except, no, there was also a little Italjet 50.
Yes.
I had a little Italjet 50.
Were they green?
They had a green tank. But ours was a little bit rusted, and it had a...
I think there was I had a Malaguti. Do you remember? Malaguti, do you remember them? I think it was an Italjet, and it had upside-down forks, which just didn't work.
No, they didn't work.
But 50s.
So we had that, and I shared it between me and my younger brother. We would burn around on that for a little bit, and then we kind of got into it, doing it ourselves, and then it became gradually... so my dad was kind of on the committee at like the Worthing Trials Club, which was quite at that time, quite a big club in the southeast of England, where I'm from.
So you had lots of mud.
We had lots of mud. There's not a rock. The only rocks that are in the south have been imported into Hookwoods.
Right, yeah, they are, and they are the slippiest rocks ever.
Yeah, exactly. So we did that, and then I progressed on to like a little TY80.
Cool.
And then it got a little bit more serious, and so instead of like riding around in the woods, it was kind of getting a bit of a thing. There was a group of us now at the little club riding around. And so that included James Fry.
Now in charge at Sherco with Emma.
He is, yes.
Yeah.
So me and James, so my dad, James's dad.
So where are we now, 2000s?
Oh no,
late 90s.
This is like, at the moment, I'm talking
about
late
mid-90s.
This is like early 90s.
Yeah.
You're talking 1990, 1991. this is it. So burning around me, my
You
brother,
had an easy paper round,
James. Yeah, like I'm not even paper round age yet. And we did that stuff. And then mum and James's mum sort of decided that we kind of needed like little courses for us to do. So we had our own little kind of like mini D class in the like
cool.
the club.
It was almost like back then. It was almost like the D class was separate to the actual trials. When I remember getting round at trials locally for me, D class was never on the full sections. It was almost like conducted.
It was kind of. It was like
separate,
we had like 5 or 6 little sections, and we kind of as a group went round, marked ourselves. You know, it was very low key, but it was a great little gateway into the idea. And then it got to that point where I was about 10, 11, and I'd got a little been to the OP videos. Do you remember the OP videos?
OP Technique,
OP
Dream,
OP Technique.
Yeah, the very first one. Girder Fort Monty.
Yes, that one. And that I remember watching that. I had that on repeat every day before school. VHS.
Yeah, really.
Every day before school, every day after school. I just wanted to be OP. And for
good reason as well.
Yeah, like that's
because he was gangster.
I need to watch these.
You haven't lived yet. Okay. You have not lived until you've seen OP Technique.
I think when you imagine the fact that what they were doing on those bikes then,
the riding level was so high, right?
Genuinely,
unpopular opinion. Here we go. Danny Mac is so crap in comparison because I'm telling you now.
Wow, this is
Danny Mac's videos are super produced.
Yeah.
By Red Bull. Yeah. Super produced. And OP was definitely him and one camera guy.
Yeah.
And the videos that were put out during that time were awe-inspiring.
They were. And I just remember watching those and and then Dad was like, right, we're going to get you a little Monty. So I got the Monty and I just started riding that a lot more than I did the TY80. And I was at that age, I'm quite tall now, but then I was a really small 10, 11-year-old.
So this is where bicycle kind of
fitted.
It started to split almost.
Yeah, it just started to split. And I kind of was like, I just didn't really want to ride the motorbike so much anymore. And I was too big for the TY80, but not big enough for a 125.
Yeah.
And the 125s around that time were bigger than they are now.
So people are... sort of as a fill-in, Barry, I think you'll agree with me here. People used to ride bicycle trials as a form of training away from the motorbike.
Yes.
Because bike trial is actually the full explanation of bicycle trials. It was originally called Trial Sin Moto. Yeah. Trials, no engine.
Yes.
Yeah. In Spanish.
Got you.
Then it became bike trial because Monty separated from Montesa.
Yep.
And became Monty, owned by a guy called Pedro P, Op's dad.
Yep.
And all of the stuff that came to it then became bike trial. For people that are listening to this right now, I'm not sad. I just lived it.
Well, I'm loving it. I'm going to check these OP films out. They'll be on YouTube, won't they?
The second one, OP Dream, is absolutely banging.
What was the soundtrack like, or there wasn't one?
It was all 90s, like Too Unlimited, wasn't it?
It was Too Unlimited, and I think there was the Scat Man in there.
Yeah,
Scat Man.
Oh, it was banging. It was awesome at the time. It was so good. So, like, some of my most fond memories of this period are like being at trials, and they used to do something called the YMSA 3-day and the YMSA 4-day, which was actually after what was the precursor, which was the YMSA 6-day.
Yeah.
And so all the kids in trials then, and I'm talking people that grew up to be major players, would be at night overs, staying at campsites. And the good bit about those trials, the trial went on in the daytime, the motorcycle trial, but at nighttime, they used to have a bicycle trial in the evening.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So, and you'd get entries off people like Graham Jarvis, Doug Lampkin, Paul Edmondson,
just having the crack.
Having the crack.
Graham Jarvis was awesome on a push bike.
Yeah, he was.
Wasn't he? Yeah,
he was
really good.
Do you want to know who was really bad?
Go on.
Doug Lampkin.
Was he?
Dougie was terrible. Steve Colley, not bad. Paul Edmondson, properly handy.
Yeah.
Really?
And all these guys would ride the push bikes, and all the kids of the time, which were people like myself, like Barry.
But that's what happened. I would say I used to go and watch the Hode when that was a British Championship round down at Butler Ironworks and all that. My dad used to ride in it, and we'd go round and take the fuel, round because it was one lap of 40. Cracking trial. Don't have the land for it anymore, unfortunately. But yeah, great trial. And me and my brother would be in tow with our little Monties that we have. And
that's how you get around.
And you'd get around. And I can remember, I don't know, and I know what year it is. It was 1991. Steve Saunders was riding a Screen Art Beta. And when I was that age, like it was Otp and it was Steve Saunders for me. Like they were the two. You know?
Yeah, they were the boys.
Yeah, they were the boys. And I was like, so I just wanted to emulate kind of Steve Saunders' full motorbike engine soundtrack on my Monty verbally.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just trying to do that.
Mate, everybody's rode over stuff whilst getting when you get to the top.
On a mountain bike, I've spent hours making motocross noises. And then one day, I thought, I'll just buy a motorbike.
So
when you got to the age, you just went.
But it was just so accessible. It was just so accessible. It was just the fact that I could always ride it. You know, like I live, you know, grew up in Worthing near Brighton, and quite, you know, town. And we had loads of sea defences. So it was really easy for me to come home from school, get the Monty out and go on the sea defences and have a little play.
Yeah.
Nice.
And me and my brother, that's what we used to do. Our childhood was that pretty much. And so much so that the more I did it, the less I rode the motorbikes, and then it just progressed. So I kind of rode cycle trials all the way through till I was about 20, proper seriously.
And what level did you get to?
So I mean,
Danny knows this, but I'm asking to try and.
I was British champion in the cadet class in 1996.
Oh, fair operator then.
So I was that, and I was the British number 2 in 2003, and I lost that championship. Still hurts now. I lost that championship by 1 point to
Zachrig.
Yeah. I lost that by 1 point. Gutted. I led the championship all year, and then I'm really sporty, so I played football and basketball as well. And especially around that time, that's all I did. And 3 days before the British Championship, I decided I was going to play five-a-side football, and I broke my ankle. Well, didn't break it. I properly twisted it. It was proper busted. And I had to ride the last round with a ridiculously strapped-up ankle. And I finished 4th that day. And if I'd finished 3rd, I would have been British champion. But I wasn't. I finished 4th that day. There we are. Well, and then whippersnappers like this young man, who was a couple of years younger than me, started getting really good. And I was like, that's a good job I'm at uni now.
So me and Barry, during that period that Barry's on about, I was on a 20-inch trials bike.
Yeah.
I was on a little one, and the sport was, I'm going to say that Barry was good, really good, during the point when the sport was really strong. Which genuinely, you know, fair play, it was not easy during that period for, if you weren't in a clique, in a certain clique of riders, you weren't welcomed as easily. And look how democratic I am right now, Barry. He's so impressed.
I know what you're thinking.
He's like, who are you right now? And yeah, so Barry did so well. Which I think gets overlooked quite often.
Yeah, fair play.
So that's just the period of his riding where he was on, where you know he was on the pedals. But what Barry's describing is the reason why I was personally so excited about Barry being able to be at the helm of the British Trials Motorcycle Championship is because Barry was one of those kids in the car park at 4 or 5 years old at British Championship rounds. I'm like, you have got to have that level of time in the sport to understand what the sport needs. Whether Barry and Sam are younger guys, etc. I'm not being funny right now, but these guys have been given up and come back to the sport longer than some people have been doing it. So that's the like, when people have an opinion about these things, I'm like, calm down. I'm like, Barry has decided not to go to trials for longer than you've been doing it.
And also the new guy doesn't mean he's only just got into it.
Yeah.
You know, it'd be ludicrous if I did it. That would be absolutely ridiculous. But, you know, you've lived it, you breathed it, you've been in the paddock, like you said. And, you know,
as kids.
No one better to do it.
Oh, thank you very much.
I do feel like you've got the series' best interest at heart. You know, he's probably not going to come off this podcast with like their biggest head, but
we'll get him out the door.
We'll get him out of that. Don't worry. There's still a long time to go yet. And no, I was super happy to hear that was the case. Obviously, we had a little off-screen chat prior to starting this bit of recording that we're doing now. Barry is only in charge of right now the men's British Championship. So don't be confused for those people out there.
No, that's right. So we got 5 rounds this year, and I'm doing just as adult trial GP series. That's my remit as it is, as kind of the series manager. And really my role in that, together with Sam, is really to just support the clubs, support the hosting clubs that are putting these events on, because quite frankly, without those hosting clubs, wouldn't have the land.
So like to give them infrastructure and almost like a plan to work to?
Just a little bit that, but I mean, a lot of them have a good idea of what is needed in terms of putting the trial on. They've been doing it for years. They can set out good sections. Clark of the courses are very experienced. There's plenty of good ones of those around. So I think putting on the trial is itself, that's kind of the given. We're there to kind of support and bring along the results service. So we've got an electronic results service that's been that Brian Higgins was using the last 3 or 4 years. So we're going to continue with that.
It's good.
It's good. It's a good little system. It's been developed by a couple of guys, I think down at the Burco Club originally, and now I think more and more clubs are starting to use it,
thank God.
Which is good. So it just means it takes some of the administration out of it for the club.
Good.
Because it just takes that level out, so that makes it a bit more
streamlined. They can concentrate on doing the bit they do well, which is put the sections on.
The trial.
Exactly.
The trial bit.
So that helps a little bit. And then also it means that we can, have a bit more of a live update. It's not completely live. You only get basically the way it works for people that don't know, is like a little tablet that each observer has. And the rider goes around with a little band, little NFC chip on their wrist. And at each section, when they get given the score, whatever that score is, it gets written down on a traditional observer's card. So we've got a backup system.
Old school backup.
Always that. You have to have the pen and paper as a backup just in case. So we can record the scores. And then we've got the electronic signal goes and gets recorded to the chip. And then when they come round after lap 1, they upload those to the master one, and then it goes up on the screen. So
wicked.
So every lap you'll get an update of where you are. And then instantly when the trial's finished, once everyone...
Whether you want it or not.
Whether you want it or not,
you can see where you're at.
So we're there to bring the results service. Sam is very much there to support the clerks of the course and to provide a bit of consistency between the rounds. And he's done a lot of work with the series regulations this year. So you'll see that up on the website if you want to go and take a look at it. And then the other aspect of it is we're trying to provide a little bit more added hospitality for people that come to watch. So this year we're going to have a kind of a bit of a stretch tent set up, just so we've got a bit more shelter from the elements. Whether it's wind, rain, seems getting a lot of that.
Whether it's British weather,
whether it's British weather, or we get sunshine, at least we've got a bit of shade. And the idea is to obviously, people can kind of just congregate there, have a nice, chat, comment about what's going on, have a nice day out. We're trying to add a little bit to it, and we're hoping to encourage, the importers and manufacturers along to display their bikes.
Yeah, good.
And
a bit more of an event.
Let's be honest.
Hopefully
the event's needed to be. It's the British Championship. This is the thing that. Not taking anything away from it in the past. Great work from guys that have set them up in the past.
Absolutely.
But it is the British Championship. Again, I mentioned off camera earlier on, just because of my motocross ties, that I found out that during the late 80s and 90s that the ACU didn't actually release any other permits to other events when the British GP was on or the British Championship, so that people could actually congregate to those events, support those events and build up the sport. And
so it would drive people to that event.
Drive people there, So I think the more and more that people can get behind the Trial GB series, I've entered one of them so far. I never get to do the whole series. I'd love to. And obviously Trialtube are going to try to provide what I'm going to call a slightly different kind of media to the Trial GB series. Basically, we've been very graciously able to partner with the series because I like it. I like Barry, he's cool. And I like Sam too. Sorry, Sam. Yeah, I do like Sam. Sam actually, watch out, Barry.
Do you want a helmet, mate? You can put a helmet on if you want.
And I like the guys that are running it. I like the style of the sections, stuff like that. So if you like something, why wouldn't you support it? And I think that's what people need to start doing with the series. Is if you like it, then support it. Don't Don't just go, oh, that's on this weekend, and what I'll do is I'll just not bother going. Like, for the sport to continue to grow, people have got to make an effort. You've got to stand up, be accountable, like, take your ego out of the equation and get in the car.
Go and watch the country's best riders.
Go and watch the country's best riders. Support them. Like,
and we've got some fantastic riders, haven't we, in this country?
We really have.
We really do. Like, where else can you go along and watch, like, literally not just the country's best, but some of the world's best?
Yeah,
you know, like,
it's a sweet spot right now.
It really is. Yeah,
yeah, we're in a good place. I think the series is in a good place, and we're in a good place very quickly to cut away to talk about this episode's sponsor, because you won't believe this, boys. We're halfway.
Well,
halfway through. So this week's sponsor is a small digital content creation company called EK Visual.
Okay.
I know them well.
Oh, yeah.
And
I heard a thing or two about the guy that runs it. But
yeah, all true. Completely true. As we know, during this time period in our lives, that digital content for businesses is key to help businesses grow. And no more so since the changing of the back end of Google Analytics to ensure that video now is a staple part of SEO. So if you have a website that you need sorting out and you would like to send people to that website, instead of having a mountainous amount of copyright on that website to build your SEO and get ranked on Google search, Google have now put something in place that video back-end tags works a lot better.
That's good.
So if you are looking to improve, shall we say, your exposure for your business, it doesn't matter what that business is, then EK Visual has the ability to provide you with high-end content creation.
I'm going to ask a couple of questions.
Do it.
So, EK Visual, we know who that is.
We do know who that is, yeah.
This man here. So what can you offer, let's just say, if we're talking trials, because I know you do lots of stuff away from Trials World, what could you offer an importership or a motorcycle dealership or a brand? What kind of service can you offer?
So basically, if shall we say a shop or a brand, if they approached us and they wanted to step up their content creation, we would basically create them a proper brand image, which would involve videos that don't look like they've been filmed on a Coke can.
Sure.
Videos that would be optimized to ensure that they would engage with their audience, because I solely believe that any form of content is about the end user.
Yeah.
So it's not just about filming it and making it look pretty. There has to be a level of, shall we say, the end user must find something valuable. Engagement, yeah. They must engage with the content, and that's basically it. And creating that content to engage, similar to, I'm going to just choose a brand right now for a laugh.
Go on.
So Beta's launch content for the latest Evo was pretty poor. The videos were too long. They were shot badly. Just, personal opinion. And also they didn't engage. They didn't tell you anything new about the new Evo. They just showed a video of Matteo Grattarola riding around in the sun. Didn't actually tell you any of the new features of the new bike.
They didn't optimize it.
They didn't optimize it to actually engage with the public or the consumer and end user of the product. So
do you do social media as well? So
yeah, we do social media marketing.
So you could run someone's social media account, take the reins, run it for as long
period
as needed.
Of time, and
then almost hand it back with some tuition.
The idea of the business model is to always provide somebody who may be struggling with social media engagement to basically turn it around for them. Give them the stuff that they need. They may have a great product and a great business. I'm not saying that, I'm fixing people's businesses, but what we are doing is helping them engage with people better, because the internet is a crowded place now. And it really does require some strategy. Don't just film something on your phone and go.
10 years ago, you could make an edit, a little clip, and it just wowed everyone because no one was doing it. Now it's got to engage, it's got to tell a story. Yeah, there's a lot to it.
It's now, to create decent social content, you are making small film. You're making short films, because let's be honest, we've all got 6 to 4K screen in our pocket, depending on the resolution of your phone. And most of the time, if you saw a video now and it was of a poor quality, you'd just scroll past it.
Yep.
You wouldn't be interested in it. You'd just go, that's crap. And then just kind of move on. And it really is that shallow. The internet is a shallow place, unfortunately.
And the other thing I think is obviously you'd be making it, but no one would need to know you made it.
Nobody needs to know that it's me. Yeah.
You're representing that brand at that time. You're behind the scenes. Yeah.
You would be surprised to know some of the content creation that I've done in the past. When I do Trialtube, it really is in a rush. I'm going to be completely honest. And
it's a passion project.
It's a passion project, and I always knock it out as fast as I can. And it's always the last thing on my list. I'm going to be honest. Like, the work that basically pays my mortgage is always further up the list of things that I need to do. Just like, Barry's taking days to travel around the country, but he knows that when he gets back, he's probably had to stack himself out to get here.
Yeah.
So the trial stuff always falls down the pecking order. And people that I've worked for in the past include, I've done content creation for Tesco. I've done content creation that's then moved on to be highlighted for people like Nike, USN, Perform Supplements. Industry people. Like I work with, one of my retained clients is a large company called Unibox that in the past actually provide all of the infrastructure for shops like Selfridges, and so you get the idea.
It's not your first rodeo.
This is not my first rodeo, no, not at all. And when I started Trialtube, it was just for fun because I was bored and it was COVID. Mm-hmm. Like, now we take it a lot more seriously. We often get comments when we make Trialtube now of how good the bikes look on camera and how we light it, shoot it, make a podcast. This isn't my first rodeo for making podcasts. We've done loads of podcasts in the past where it's about creating the right sound quality. Basically, the idea of the entire business model is for me to make it and nobody ever know.
Yeah, good.
So that's our sponsor anyway for this week, EK Visual, and you can find those guys on Instagram, believe it or not, with not many followers because I'm doing everybody else's, so I've never got time for myself.
We can turn that around.
And www.ekvisual.co.uk.
Check it out.
Check it out. Right, moving on. There's the advert bit out of the way. I hate that bit.
I had a question for Barry. So I think when I drove here this morning, I was doing as much research as I could about you. I quickly rang Danny, and that's the truth. And then, we had a little bit of a conversation just before we came on air, but I'm going to ask it again. So you did touch on it earlier, actually, but this ACU position isn't full-time. It's obviously it's a job. It's a bolt on to your already, busy career. But how many hours a week would you say typically you put into the ACU?
I already know this is going to be way too many.
It's a lot. It's a lot. So at the moment, I suppose it's a lot of preparation work, and I kind of got handed the reins a little bit later in the day than I would have liked.
Okay.
So the fact that I didn't get the chance to get going with this until February or end of February has meant that, you've got to kind of condense, ringing around.
You're playing catch up.
Yeah, you're playing catch up a little bit. So I have had to condense it, and so I've done a lot of, I've stacked some days to do kind of full days in front of the computer, ringing around people, trying to drum up sponsorship and stuff like that, putting media packs together and all sorts that kind of needed to be done so that there's actually some literature to kind of tell the industry about. And the wider industry, really. Anyone out there who might want to go and watch an event. So I haven't really answered your question, have you? That's a bit of a politician's answer. But yeah, quite a lot of hours.
So you're doing sort of 10, 20 hours a week?
Yeah, it probably is about 20 hours a week, yeah.
So everyone, what you got to think is, man's got a full-time job and he's doing this job on top. So that has to be passion-driven.
Family, also.
Yeah, family. That's
active young family.
So fair play.
Yeah.
Fair
play.
play.
My kids are like 12 and 9, or about to be 12 and 9. So yeah, it's a full-on gig. But luckily, I've got a really understanding wife and family that know that I'm passionate about this sort of thing, and that, oh God, he's off again. He wants to do that. So so I'm just pleased. I'm genuinely really honoured to be able to kind of, give back a little bit and try and serve the trials community a little bit. And that's what I'm here to do. I'm trying to hear and, to help support and put a good series out for everyone.
Fair play, man.
That's what we're here for. Really.
Which also includes the fact that obviously Barry's taking the time to come up today, which we're really thanking for. Yeah. And I think that a lot of people really do misunderstand the time it takes to try and take on something like the British Championship, because let's be honest, I always say that just before I say something bad. Let's be honest, there's always been, shall we say, diverse, different trials that are running. You know, there's the S3, there's the British Championship. Then you'll get people saying, well, which one is the one? And do you know what I mean? Like, because for outside, for people that aren't on the inside of the sport, they don't necessarily know. That
information is not actually that clear.
So it's good to be able to put it down, not just on paper, but by the way, Barry's media packs that have been coming out have been great, very informative so far.
So you're writing your own press releases?
Yeah, so it's pretty much, we don't really have a huge amount of resource at the moment. We don't really have a huge budget. So like I say, we can only go as far as where we're kind of going for this year. But the ambition is a lot more than that going forward. One of the things that we've spoken quite a lot about, with the Trials and Enduro Committee and with Sam and some of the other people that are involved, is that we'd like to, in the future, get away from like, okay, I'll rewind. Just waffled on there, haven't I? Totally waffled on. So absolutely no point whatsoever. Sorry.
We do this every week.
It's going nowhere. I was trying to retrack it. So we've got this year, there's, if you count the adult British Championship, the youth nationals, so the D class, C class, etc., and the ladies and girls British Championship, all of those events take up 20 weekends.
Yeah, and how many are in the same venue?
So they're all different venues. So
wow.
Everywhere, all around the country, and some fantastic trials being put on, absolutely fantastic. But I think one of the ambitions, and whether or not we'll get there, it's Rome wasn't built in a day sort of thing, but whether we get, one of the ambitions of mine and some of the other people involved is to try and get everything to run over a weekend. So you can have a festival style weekend where you could have the youth and the ladies, or the youth and the girls on the Saturday. And then on the Sunday, you could have kind of the adult championship. And hopefully everyone stay around and build that in. And we've actually got a kind of a pilot event of that this year. So round 2 of this year's championship at Hookwood. So obviously that is a club that I'm involved with. We've got the youth nationals for the boys on the Saturday.
Okay.
And then on the Sunday, we've got the adults. So unfortunately, we haven't got the ladies and girls in there as well this year. But I would love if it could all come together. But there's an incredible amount of work that's got to happen and for that to take place for 2025. But if we can get to that, and it's going to take not just me, it's going to take a kind of the industry coming together to make that happen. Well, then we could do it, and it's not really a new idea. It's been done in the past.
That's how we did it when we were kids.
That's how we did it when we were kids. It just needs a little bit of reining in, probably a little bit of clear direction is probably all it is. And I'm just trying to steer the ship towards that. You can look to across the water in Spain and some of their national championships and that. How, if you've ever been to those, some of those are great.
That makes perfect sense to me. That's just
for people that haven't had the chance to see trials in Europe, to say that they do it better than we do would be the biggest understatement ever. The reason why the Spanish are at the tip of the spear in the sport is simply because they just do it better from the ground up.
Yeah.
It's super involved. It's a great weekend. The events are super family led. Do you know what I mean? They put food on midday. Like, anybody that's been to a French trial is fully aware that 2 laps in, you're having lunch and sampling the local wine. Like, yes. And then you go and do another 2 laps, absolutely sozzled. You're riding down the street. It's just a different perspective of the sport. It genuinely is.
It's a cultural thing, maybe.
It's a cultural thing. They're obviously not as miserable as we are.
They haven't got to deal with the rain like we have.
No, I will actually say I'm glad that Hookwoods is later in the year, because last year's first round at Hookwoods was, I have never, and I mean never, cleaned a bike for as long as I cleaned a bike after that trial.
Yeah, we've got, us Southerners have got good techniques for cleaning the bikes. You have to put most of it in the dishwasher.
I remember that being a thing, actually. We were like, was it like gas air boxes and beta air boxes? People would put them in the dishwasher.
Yeah, I'd have 2 gas air boxes, one in the dishwasher, one on the bike.
I thought you were going to say I've got 2 dishwashers. One's just from the trial.
One's in the back of the van and one's on the bike. No, I'm joking.
When I was riding a lot, that was.
I knew that was a thing.
Yeah.
I just don't think people kind of quite grasp how muddy it can be at Oakwoods when it wants to be. I know that sounds mental, but there was just like the sections were set in the dry, I think, as well. Just so you know, I fully enjoyed that trial. Like, I don't want it to be like come off like it wasn't a bad day. I really enjoyed myself.
I think with I guess I was talking about the dates as well. Like, one of the reasons why that had to be in March was because it was the only date in the calendar that was free to put it on.
Yeah.
Because there are so many national level trials every
People
year.
don't realise that bit. Oh,
So
why has he done that?
there's this whole thing where you don't want to take away from someone else's event. You know, you mentioned the S3 Nationals, which is a fantastic series. You know, like generally like one lap of 40 or something. Or
There's a lot of people that take part.
They're brilliant events, absolutely fantastic events, and they're you know, generally a road trial, aren't they?
And they're accessible as well.
They're very accessible, so they're great for that. I suppose where the Trial GB is as you mentioned earlier, it's more to kind of as a stepping stone if you're trying to
Get
progress
to
your
world
ride to the
level
world
or
level.
It's
a slightly different style of section.
It's a different style of section.
And it'll always be a compact lap that's kind of spectator friendly.
Yeah.
So that's, I guess, the point of difference.
There's definitely a part from a fitness point of view also when you ride a Trial GB round where you've just come out of one section where you've just worked your balls off, and I mean like you are dying and then you are 10 foot and into the next section, and the time that you've had to basically walk that section you spend going, oh God, shaking your hands out like.
So when I rode, when I finished off the push bikes and I got back into the motorbikes again when I was bigger, and I kind of graduated uni, I thought, right, I'm gonna have a proper crack at this. So I went and entered the 2006 World Trial round at Hawkstone.
I remember that.
And it was like, I'll hold my hands, I was out my depth, but I was just pleased to be there and have the chance to do it. And I think the winner of that, so they had the top level lads and then the Trial 2 class, I guess. That's all they had.
That's when it first came out.
That's kind of all they had. They didn't have anything else, didn't have Trial 3 or anything like that then. So I did that, and I fived every section.
Yeah.
But I rode 80% of a lot of the sections clean, but I just couldn't get out the ends card. I just wasn't fit enough, I wasn't conditioned enough, and I wasn't practiced enough at that style of event.
Yeah.
So had I had more experience of doing that, I think it would have been easier. But yeah, I'm like super proud to say I did that.
Yeah, definitely.
And it was awesome. Great experience. And yeah, and credit to like my minder that day, because my dad refused. My dad stood there and was at the stop of some of these things, was like, I'm not catching you on that. You're going to have to get a different minder. And he knew he was going to have to do some catching for me that day.
I think
that's the job description.
Yeah, that was the job description.
Yeah, big shout out to people that are minding, by the way.
Yep.
Absolute legends.
Yeah.
People don't even realise, do they? Just like, because you would have done a rucker minding, I'm very sure, at some point, Barry.
Yes. I've minded for a few people. I've minded for James, obviously a good friend of mine. So done that. Done a bit of minding for Emma. In the past. So I've done a bit of that as well.
Yeah, it's a big job, but also this is what people don't quite realise. To ride at that level, you've got to be getting out riding like 4 times a week minimum. You've got to be training. You've got to be eating right. You've got to be
full time.
It's a full-time job.
It's not just being able to be technically good enough to do it. No. You've got to do all those other things.
You've got to do all those other things as well. You've got to have and then after all that, you've actually still got to have the stones on you to stand in front of something and go, yeah, it's massive, but I don't care. Because even some of the big shout out. I always give these guys a shout out, but a big shout out to the YMSA club, Barry Burton, and the team that have been able. And the team that are behind him. Mostly it's him that put on the odd event now and then, but they used to put on a lot more events. But YMSA was one of the only clubs in the UK that you could go to if you wanted to have some semblance of experience before you got to British Championship level.
Like a stepping stone.
Oh my God. Yeah. It was a club trial where you'd need a minder.
Really?
They're sick. They're so good. And Barry actually runs his desk when you get there. And if he doesn't know you, he won't let you enter expert. He's like, hello mate, you all right? Where you from? And then, but he's that into the sport that he knows that if he doesn't know you, there is no way you are going in that class.
Yeah.
Because he knows the sport that well. And I think it's difficult without a series like the Trial GB series where there is the expert class, which is hands down the most contested class.
Yeah.
There's more people in expert than there is anything else than Trial 2 or Trial, the Trial GB class. Without that class, people wouldn't be able to have a stepping stone to ride this. Oh, just thought of a question. Oh, amazing. So, Barry, what is, because I know a lot of people will be thinking this, what is your position on riders? Oh, God, this is like an official question. I'm so excited, I can wee. What is your official position on people that win their class in the British Championship, but then ride the same class the year after? Or do you believe that the Trial GB should be something where if you win Trial Expert, you should get off your rear end and not win it for 6 years on the bounce and ride the Trial 2 class? And then at least for a year, if you can't handle it, then you have to come back down. Because that would mean that there would be a fresh Trial Expert British champion.
I suppose you've got to beat the person in front of you. But, yeah, you do raise a good point. I think they are designed as classes to be progressional. So,
Correct.
I think the other side of the coin is, there is two sides to it. But the other side of the coin is very much that to get to the next level, you've got to ride more.
Yeah.
And if you're a bit later in your life, you probably can't. You probably can't. So, are you going to then look at the step up to Trial 2, or Trial 2, Trial GB, and think, that's actually, I'm not confident that I can't go to work on Monday.
Yeah.
So I don't think the sport is in quite the place yet because there isn't enough infrastructure and enough kind of money in it, effectively, for these guys to kind of level up and get the support they need to go all the way to the next level.
Okay.
So I think it becomes a bit of a question about, that leads in to kind of a bit of a question to making sure that the kind of the sections are designed correctly, so that, you can kind of think, well, I can ride this safely at my level, with my level of riding experience, and I've got the opportunity to progress should I want to.
Should you wish to?
Should you wish to. I think they should be encouraged. It's not in the regulations to dictate or mandate that you have to.
Yeah.
But I would definitely encourage anyone who wins a class to try and push themselves the next year. I would, with my personal opinion, but it's not in the regulations to.
But like you said, you might have someone at the back end of their career who's still very competitive.
Yes,
and
there's a few of them.
There's
a few of them.
But like you said, they got to go to work on Monday. So
that's where we are as a sport. So.
Well, to be honest, the sport is vastly contested by people that are weekend warriors, as I like to call them. I am one of them in the motorbike world.
Yep. Like you think, like all the Trial Expert boys, all of them have a job. Every single one of them. All of the Trial 2 boys in this country have a job, or they're at uni, so they probably ride a bit more.
Yeah.
Or they're a bit younger in their life, and even the Trial GB boys, most of them have a job.
Yeah.
Like that's where we are. So in order to level up, the whole thing needs to level up, and then you might start being able to.
So the events need to get bigger, so they need more support,
and it's cyclical. The whole thing.
It is 100%. At the end of the day, the more people through the gate, then the more people you will actually be able to support. The sport will grow, and that's where it's at in Spain, because in Spain, if you were a rider in Trial 2 or Trial Pro or Elite, as it's called in France. They actually have a team that funnels, the SPIA team, that actually funnels young riders and gives them enough money to...
An opportunity to
have an apartment and have enough parts and backing and travel expense so that they can go riding every day. And that's the reason why...
They're so good.
They're so bloody good, and that's, the same happens in France with the FFM.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where the sport's at. So without you putting on a series like this, we're never going to get there.
No, and it's going to take a little bit of time to get there, but let's pray we get there.
Let's pray. And the good thing is for Trial GB in general, you and Sam are pretty young. So, maybe in 20 years' time, we'll have this conversation again. I'll be like, when is Barry going to step down? Just like how we were about, previous people. Yeah. So I think it's great. But
the future's bright for sure.
Yeah. Very, very good. Now, I hope if you are listening to this right now, we have just run out of time. But a huge thank you to Barry for coming up and making the extra effort.
Thank you for
thank you very much.
Absolutely fantastic. And once again, you can catch up with the Trialtube podcast on Spotify, Apple, and you can be watching this on YouTube. Just watch it on YouTube, man, just because of the ad revenue, I don't do this for fun.
And please leave comments below, because good or bad, we like them.
Yeah, we do. We love a good comment.
Yeah.
Unless you'd like put 5 or 6 negative comments on, then I will find you.
But that's fine as well. It's a free country.
It is a free country. I will find you. But for now, as always, it's bye from me.
It's bye from me.
Bye from me.
Thank you very much. Vinny.
Awesome.
Well done, man.
Thank you. Is that all right?
That was fucking brilliant.